right, let's get into the Chiefs and last week's matchup between two Super Bowl hopefuls. Kansas City took care of business against the Ravens. Patrick Mahomes was in vintage form, throwing for 270 yards, 4 touchdowns.
So when I'm thinking about the AFC, it has to go through Buffalo. It has to go through, even with the performance last week, it has to go through the Chargers. So even though, we know what Patrick Mahomes is capable of, but Patrick Mahomes doesn't really look like Patrick Mahomes if he doesn't.
Here on NFL Live, and Troy, the Chiefs offense had its best outing week 4 versus the Ravens. What do you make of the return of Xavier Worthy and the emergence of Tyquan Thornton?
Yeah, Xavier Worthy obviously had a big impact on that game. I think probably the biggest factor in their success offensively was the way the offensive line protected Patrick Mahomes. I felt like he was getting hit a lot through the first few weeks of the season, and he was having to scramble, obviously, a lot more than what probably you would like to see. The left side of the offensive line is young, but they did a great job. And then Xavier Worthy, as we heard Patrick Mahomes say, anytime you can get a playmaker like that on the field, it just opens everything up. It stretches out the defense. They didn't waste any time getting him involved in the game plan. And Tyquan Thornton on the other side, that young guy's got to continue to get on the field because he's been a highlight reel through 4 games.
Yeah, the Jags are off to what some say is a surprising 3-1 start. If you ask them, they're like, we saw this coming. Some of it has to do with the play of quarterback Trevor Lawrence. What are you seeing from him on film?
Well, I just inconsistencies. I think it's easy to point, maybe it always is, at the quarterback, but he's made some he's made some tough throws. He's been inaccurate at times. He's had some tough interceptions, but he's also had a lot of drop passes. He's done some good things as well. I think, obviously it's in his 5th year. There's a lot expected of him, but it's his 3rd offensive play caller. It's his 3rd head coach. It's early in the season. I anticipate that he's going to continue to get better. He's got good things working in his favor. He's got an outstanding running game. He's got good players around him, and then the defense, the way they're able to turn the ball over. So I think all those things are a quarterback's friend, and I trust that he'll find his groove as we move along.
We were both in Denver this past Monday, watched Bo Nix and the Broncos against Cincinnati. Patrick Mahomes, looking for his returning target in week 4, averaged over 16 air yards per target, a career high in any game that Worthy's had at least 1 reception, including the playoffs. J-Mac, does the deep passing game continue for Worthy this week on Monday Night Football against the Jags?
I don't believe so. They played the Baltimore Ravens, and their defense has become a stat game for every team that they go against. I'm looking at this Jacksonville Jaguars defense led by defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli. He prides his defense on aggression and violence, but they also play with a ton of too high shell, and that's playing cover 4, cover 6, doing different things to limit the big plays. The issue is when they get there, they are wreaking havoc, punching at the ball and intercepting passes.
Let's go to the page
moments ago on how the offense can improve. It's new on SportsCenter.
I think there's still a lot to learn from. I mean, early in the first half there were some of those drives that stalled out, kind of like we had been doing earlier in the season. So trying to find ways to execute, especially earlier in football games, to build leads. I mean, like I've always said, when you build a lead with Spags calling the defense, it really unleashes him to really go out there. And so we'll continue to work at the little things fundamentally and try to all be on the same page so that we can execute it at a higher level early and then keep that momentum through the rest of the game.
You're trusting Brashard maybe earlier than other rookies in previous years. I guess what has he shown you that he's able to handle that load?
Well, literally, being able to handle it's half the battle. Just from a mental standpoint, he's picked it up well. He's in a good room where guys can help him and have done some of these things that we're asking him to do in the past. So he's willing to listen. Pretty humble kid, and works hard.
Have been any film room moments where you're like, wow, that's kind of different for a left tackle?
Yeah, he's had a lot. He's had a lot. I really like Josh, man. What he's done, the talent level that he has. For me, I think the sky's the limit for him, and it's really fun just being able to watch him and try to help him out in any facet of his game. And just be a resource for him because that's how much I believe in him. And obviously with Kingsley as well, how talented he is. But it's fun. It's fun watching 71 get out there, man, and doing this thing. And there's a reason, he got drafted where he got drafted, and I think the sky's the limit for him.
This is the first one that I actually, made like an athletic or DB type play. So it was pretty cool. And the thing was plastering on a down that, Lamar's going to extend plays. So it's plastering it down and just being able to read his eyes, Andrew's eyes, and just get my head around and do my best to make a play.
You kind of know if the blitz is called, and that's probably going to happen that way, right? But how often you don't have to trail someone 25, 30 yards downfield very often in a season, right?
Right. It's unique to those certain guys, especially Lamar, and that's something we were coaching. They were coaching us up all week on. You got to plaster no matter what. And Lamar threw it off his back foot, running backwards basically, and he was still able to get it in the vicinity. So, it's all of us I feel like we're detailed in on plastering.
Leo Trent told me that the defensive backs have an all hands board, and you made the board and moved up on the board. When you're, defensive backs talk about you like that, how does it make you feel?
Man, it's special because, a lot of times they'll say, hey, great job in the run game or doing this, knocking somebody back. So, you got guys like Trent and those dudes saying that about it's a huge compliment. I just got to keep it going and prove it's not just a fluke. So.
Did your agent call you and go, hey, nice job, I'm going to sell you as a coverage guy now?
Oh, man. No, he did not. Yeah, right. No, yeah. No, but just trying to be as versatile as I can, man. Just help the team out.
You mentioned that you looked at his eyes. Was that your cue on that play?
Yeah, and you just feel a guy, continue to run, and all of a sudden their eyes get big, and a lot of them try to do their hands last second, stuff like that. But for me, it was just like seeing the eyes and knowing Lamar is gonna make a play out of nothing. So I was just trying to be ready.
Patrick Mahomes is 7-2 in 9 career Monday Night Football starts and will make his first road Monday Night Football start since 2020 Week 3 at Ravens. With the win, he could become the third quarterback with a win percentage of .800 or better on Monday Night Football with at least 10 starts. Jared Goff, Randall Cunningham, both with an 8-2 record.
The Jaguars are going to beat the Chiefs this weekend. Chiefs are going out to Jacksonville facing sneaky, one of the best, they're in the conversation, teams out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen might be getting in Spags' face after the game. That's my take. Jaguars beat the Chiefs.
Are they for real? Are the Jags legit? I think that's a good football team.
Yes.
That's a good ball club.
Yes.
They're sneaky. Yes is the answer. However, when it comes to the Chiefs, it's amazing what one individual can do when you can take the top off with Xavier Worthy. You saw he had multiple X plays in their last game. I know statistically the Ravens have been bad. Right. However, Patrick Mahomes throwing for more touchdowns than he did combined in the last 3 games. It's the confidence booster they need, especially when the noise was so loud.
Jaguars beat a better Ravens team.
Jaguars win that game. That's going to open up a lot of eyes. All right, I need one more. Talk to me about.
You get used to having, Jim Nance and Tony Romo come in on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. You get used to being the game of the week. You get used to every game is important. You get used to everybody you play is their homecoming game where they're like super focused and fired up and super motivated. You get weird comments from defenders that say, I'm going to hit him harder this week because, and so you get used to all of that focus and that builds a muscle. And a muscle that doesn't just go away. Now, what happens, Tony, to your point, there's an ebb and flow, especially in free agency. There's an ebb and flow every year of who you have. But one thing is for sure, if you consistency and ownership of a focus of being great, which the Hunts are, you have a coach that is as an innovative and reinvents himself over and over and over again, continuously, never gets old. In Andy Reid, there's that consistency of message, of values, of what you're who you are. And then you build a locker room like it. You can take changeover. And I don't think it's doubt necessarily. You say, do you have doubts? You just have some ebbs and flows of excellence. And you have to kind of work through them. And I think that they've done that through the years. And that's the great teams. The Eagles have done that. The 49ers have done that. The Rams are doing it. Like, there's teams that have kind of gone through the machinations of it all. And because of the values and what I told you as the kind of underpinnings of foundation, it's never goes away. You can still build off of it, especially when you have the best quarterback in football, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say you need to mention Mahomes at some point. Yeah. Thank you. Hold on. The Ravens defense is going to make a lot of people look healthier than they actually are. Where do we sit?
I'm on the side where the Ravens are going to make you look a lot better than you probably are. I mean, you think the Ravens in the run game are 31st in the league, passing game they're 25th. So did the Chiefs play exceptionally well? They did, right? They finally ran the ball. They finally did the things Worthy had explosive plays. Travis Kelce took a time machine back. He was lighting it up. Everybody was playing well. But my issue with the Chiefs is not always about it's about the fundamental portion of it. They don't run the ball well. They average 67 yards a game with their running backs, which is almost dead last in the league. Explosive plays are still. You're not playing the Ravens, and this is Here's my issue. I don't have a problem. I don't have an issue with the Chiefs going to the playoffs. The Chiefs want to win the Super Bowl. So if we're talking about them as a Super Bowl winning team, my issues are deeper than just can we go beat the Ravens. That's why I still have hesitation.
Yeah, look, I think that they are turning a corner. I think, look, number one, look at the pace that they played at yesterday. The speed component looks like it's back now. Okay, and when you have that, whether it be you're talking about go balls, whether you're talking about jet sweeps, those kinds of things that are stretching the field horizontally and vertically, it just starts to create more space. The running game has never been really fantastic in the Kansas City, even when they were winning Super Bowls. I mean, they never had someone who they could really count on to that Patrick could say, hey, look, you know what? I got to hand this ball off a few times. You got to take some of the load off of me. The load is always on him.
No doubt.
The fact of the matter, though, is this. The offensive line came off the ball with some authority yesterday. Travis Kelce looked different yesterday. Tyquan Thornton has kind of like developed now. Hollywood Brown looks pretty good. Juju Smith-Schuster is going, hey, I want to get in on this. And with Xavier being back, and remember this name too. Remember the name Brashard Smith, the 7th rounder out of SMU. Slowly you're seeing Andy work him into the backfield like he used Jerick McKinnon, and he has got blazing speed. That's what this team is built on, and I think you're starting to see that come to the forefront now.
I think it's fair to say, let's wait till we get Worthy and Rice. And that's what I was saying the first 3 weeks. A lot of people were saying that because it's almost, okay, go watch Get Up, but Greeny's out and Kmart's out and Hembo's out, but go watch Get Up and treat it like it's going to be at its best. That's not the case. You need to have your full arsenal before we judge you, and they haven't gotten Rice back. I think Rice, to me, is one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL when he's going in this offense. Worthy comes back, the thing opens up, and to Lewis's point, suddenly you're dusting off Pacheco. It's like, oh, hello, old friend. The Chiefs, that's what I remember. This was the unit that we were expecting before the season. I would like to judge them on this, and they might even get better once we get
And I do think they're going to get better. I just think that when we're talking about the game they just played, it's styles make fights. This is a perfect fight for the Chiefs. The Ravens can't generate pass rush. They can't stop the run. You can't stop them. That's an issue. So everything does look good, and everything looks explosive and looks fast. It's when you start taking Worthy completely out of the game, or you get pressure on Mahomes by rushing 4 or rushing 3 and dropping 8. There's different things that teams can bring you. That's the only reason I say I have the hesitation, because of the opponent they just beat up on.
I think it's in the middle. Like the question of have they returned to championship caliber play, it's been 1 week. And I'm always going to be the voice of reason. Like 1 week doesn't mean a whole season. But the same reason we're talking about some of these other teams like the Ravens, what's happening with them? They have a lot of injuries. The fact that your best players aren't on the field, we can't ignore that also. So when you completely talk about the Chiefs, you can't also say like, well, they should be playing better, except they don't have their best guys.
It's also worth pointing out, no team in the NFL had a better weekend last weekend than they did. Not only they get the win. Think about where we were a week ago.
We're crowning the Chargers.
And now, boom, Chargers lose a game. They suddenly don't look so invincible. Chiefs get this win. They play what shapes up to be a huge game Monday night against Jacksonville.
They play the Jaguars.
It's funny how the players matter, huh? Who you have available really does matter.
Always,
dudes. To that point, Andy Reid didn't forget how to drop an offense. Guys.
Right.
Like they're going to be okay.
They needed to tread water until Rashee Rice got there. Banking that win on Sunday is critical. If they get themselves just a 3-3 and they get him back, now they're probably off and running. Now
the Chiefs are about to unleash their secret weapon, and nobody's talking about it yet. While everyone's obsessing over potential trades and big-name acquisitions, Kansas City has been quietly developing a rookie running back who could completely transform their offense starting Monday night against Jacksonville. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because the drama surrounding this team right now goes way deeper than you think. With trade rumors heating up, a dangerous weather forecast threatening the game, and a Jaguars defense that's creating turnovers at a historic rate. If you think you know what's coming in this Monday Night Football matchup, you're about to get a reality check that'll change everything you thought about the Chiefs' game plan. Andy Reid finally opened up and basically confirmed what Chiefs Kingdom has been screaming about for weeks. Brashard Smith is about to get a much bigger role in this offense. During Thursday's press conference, Reid dropped some serious hints that should have every fan pumped up. He said, and this is a direct quote, "Being able to handle it is half the battle from a mental standpoint. He's picked it up well. He's a very humble kid and works hard." Now that might sound like typical coach speak, but when you combine it with everything else that's been happening, it's clear Smith is about to break out. Here's what makes this so exciting. Smith is only in his second year as a running back. The dude was a wide receiver at Miami before transferring to SMU, where he put up 69 catches for 770 yards and 4 touchdowns. That receiver background is exactly what this Chiefs offense has been missing in the backfield. Patrick Mahomes is already hyping him up too, saying he's done a great job. It helps that he's played receiver because he can run routes and running back because he can run between the tackles. That's the kind of dual threat ability that defenses can't game plan for. The numbers from week 4 against the Ravens tell you everything you need to know about where this is heading. Smith hit a career-high 19 snaps with 9 rushing yards and 3 catches for 27 receiving yards. Now get this. Those 27 receiving yards in just that one game are already outpacing Isaiah Pacheco's 26 receiving yards for the entire season and nearly matching Kareem Hunt's 36 yards. That's absolutely wild when you think about it. Pacheco's got 32 carries for 127 yards and Hunt's at 36 for 115 with 1 touchdown, but neither one is delivering the consistency this offense needs. Reed's been known for his slow burn approach with young running backs. Remember, he didn't let Pacheco start until week 7 back in 2022, so Smith might still be held back for a few more weeks. But his dual threat ability could be exactly what this backfield has been missing, especially going up against Jacksonville's tough defense. Smith's inside zone burst and his route running from his receiver days make him a nightmare matchup on checkdowns. You're not getting anything even close to that versatility with Pacheco, and you're definitely not getting it with Hunt. I honestly believe Smith's about to take this backfield by storm. The way Mahomes is praising him and the uptick in snaps tells me the coaching staff is finally ready to unleash what they've been developing. Against a defense as hungry for turnovers as Jacksonville's, having a reliable pass-catching back who can also run between the tackles might be the chess piece Andy Reid's been waiting to deploy. Now, speaking of potential game changers, let's talk about the wildest trade rumor that's been floating around. Devon Achane from the Miami Dolphins. This one's got some serious legs because Achane just posted something on Instagram that has everyone talking. He said, quote, "1 week they love me, 1 week they hate me, both weeks I got paid." That sounds like a guy who's fed up with the Dolphin fan base and the whole Miami situation, especially with their rough start to the season. Here's why this trade actually makes sense right now. The Dolphins are dealing with Tyreek Hill's knee injury that's going to keep him out for a while. And if they're seriously considering a rebuild, Achane's value is peaking at exactly the right moment. Why would you trade a star running back when you just lost your main offensive weapon? Simple. If you're going to reset and rebuild, his value is never going to be higher than it is right now. The dude is an absolute dynamic weapon. He's posting 4.9 yards per carry on 50 carries for 246 yards and a touchdown, plus 19 catches on 25 targets for 143 yards and 2 scores. His 4.32 second 40-yard dash makes him a big play magnet every single time he touches the ball. His pass game ability fits Andy Reid's schemes perfectly, kind of like what they want to do with Brashard Smith, but at an even higher level. And here's the kicker. He's got 1 year left after this season before becoming a free agent in 2026, so he could actually be a long-term piece if they can extend him. Now, the cost right now might be too steep, which is the realistic concern, but if the Dolphins drop more games and this season really starts going south for them, Brett Veach should at least inquire about what it would take to get him. Achane's rookie 7.8 yards per carry was absolutely insane, and yes, we know that wasn't sustainable, but his numbers are still very respectable at 4.5 and 4.9 yards per carry these past 2 seasons. He's a consistent threat, especially in the 2-minute drill where games are won and lost. What really sets Achane apart is his acceleration and those direction changes that turn checkdowns into chunk gains. Those hands also work in traffic, letting him haul in slants from the backfield like a natural receiver. He could legitimately be the spark that elevates this Chiefs backfield to another level, but his contract situation and Miami's price tag means Veach has to play it smart, especially with Smith. Showing real promise already. Other teams are definitely going to want to hop in on the bidding too. Thinking about it realistically, I believe if the Dolphins lose their next 2 games and fall to something like 1-5 or 1-6, Veach absolutely needs to make that phone call. The risk is worth the reward when you're talking about a player who could be the difference between another championship and falling short. Smith is great, but Achane is proven elite talent at the NFL level. But let's shift gears to what's immediately in front of us. Monday Night Football, where the 2-2 Chiefs are looking to get back above 2,500 against the 3-1 Jaguars. And there's some early news out of Jacksonville that could seriously shake things up, starting with the weather forecast that has everyone concerned. Get your pen and paper out, because this weather report sounds like something out of a disaster movie. There's a high surf advisory, a rip current risk, a coastal flood advisory, and watch all lasting until Sunday. Plus, there's likely going to be rain and possible thunderstorms on Monday night when they're actually playing. The Chiefs are hammering ball security drills in practice to prep for these wet conditions, and that's absolutely critical because Jacksonville's defense is an absolute turnover machine right now. They're leading the entire NFL with 13 forced turnovers, including a +9 margin that tops everyone in the league. That's not just good, that's historically dominant for this early in the season. Andy Reid's on high alert about this, saying they catch the ball well, they're disciplined in their lanes, on their zone drops, opportunistic on tipped balls, and they've stripped out a couple of balls. You've got to make sure that you're aware of that as you play them for sure. The Chiefs are one of only 3 teams with just 1 turnover on the season, so they can't afford slip-ups in the rain, especially since the Jags have won the turnover battle in all 4 games this season. That's their recipe for success, and they're executing it perfectly. Then you've got the pass rush situation, which is equally concerning. Trayvon Walker, despite having wrist surgery after the 49ers game, is day-to-day and might actually play. He's bringing 13 pressures and 2 sacks this year, plus 20.5 sacks over his first 2 seasons. The guy's a legitimate problem, but Josh Hines-Allen is even scarier in my opinion. 8 quarterback hits and 23 pressures in just 4 games, with at least 5 pressures each week despite having only half a sack to show for it. His bend and power combination collapses pockets in ways that offensive tackles just can't handle. Our tackles, Josh Simmons and Jawan Taylor, are going to face an absolutely brutal test trying to keep Mahomes clean. Walker's pocket-crushing power exploits slow-footed tackles, while Hines-Allen's speed-to-power mix forces oversets and creates running lanes for his teammates. They're legitimately dangerous. Then there's Travis Etienne Jr. in the backfield, who's looking like a resurgent force that the Chiefs absolutely must contain. Etienne's 394 rushing yards ranks 3rd in the NFL, behind only Jonathan Taylor's 414 and James Cook's 401. He's also got 6.1 yards per carry, which is tops among running backs with significant volume. He's the only player with multiple 120-yard rushing games this season and has scored in 3 straight games. That's the kind of consistency that destroys game plans. But here's where it gets interesting. Spags' defense hasn't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 23 games, or 30 if you include the playoffs. That's an absolutely ridiculous streak that speaks to the disciplined gap control this defense maintains. The Chiefs' run defense ranks 22nd overall, allowing 127 yards per game, but strip away Justice Hill's 71-yard touchdown scamper from Sunday, and it's a much tighter 109.3 yards per game. Meanwhile, Jacksonville's ground game averages 144 yards, which ranks 4th in the league. Here's the advantage the Chiefs have. Spagnuolo knows Liam Cohen's system inside and out from facing it last year when Cohen ran Tampa Bay's offense. In that Week 9 thriller, the Chiefs won 30-24 in overtime, and Spags' defense didn't give up a big game to any individual runner. Bucky Irving was Tampa's leader on the ground with just 24 yards on 7 carries, and Rashad White had only 19 yards on 3 carries. But Cohen's 2024 Bucks were top 5 in both rushing and passing, so this definitely isn't a one-dimensional attack we're dealing with. Etienne's burst through tight gaps and his second-level vision creates chunk plays that can swing momentum in seconds. Those layered fronts and linebacker stunts that Spagnuolo loves to deploy should hopefully clog those running lanes and force Etienne to hesitate. If Spags' defense can stuff Etienne and maintain their no 100-yard rusher streak, the Chiefs could absolutely dictate the game's tempo and control when they want to speed things up or slow them down. My honest take on this matchup is that the weather might actually favor the Chiefs. Everyone's worried about ball security, but Mahomes is one of the best in the league at protecting the football, and if the conditions slow down Jacksonville's pass rush even a little bit, that gives our offensive line the help they desperately need. I'm cautiously optimistic, but that Jags defense creating turnovers at this rate is genuinely concerning. Now let's look at what the advanced stats are telling us about this matchup, because PFF just dropped their analysis and it's pretty eye-opening. They're calling this game building momentum in the AFC, because both teams closed out September December playing inspired football. After that rough 0-2 start, Kansas City marched through the Giants and Ravens in dominant fashion. Now the Chiefs hope to ride that wave into Jacksonville against a Jaguars team that's also building serious hype following their strong victory over the 49ers. The matchup everyone should be watching is Xavier Worthy versus Jaguars cornerback Jordan Lewis. After missing the majority of the first 3 games, Worthy's return to the lineup absolutely infused new life into this Chiefs offense. The young receiver posted an 81.0 overall PFF grade against the Ravens, hauling in 5 of his 8 targets for 83 yards and adding another 2 carries for 38 yards. His availability opens up numerous possibilities and big play potential that this offense desperately needed. Jordan Lewis has been an excellent addition to the Jacksonville secondary. He owns the 3rd highest PFF coverage grade at 83.5 at the cornerback position while seeing snaps both in the slot and outside. This season, he's allowed just 0.7 yards per coverage snap while holding passers to just a 39.7 passer rating on throws into his coverage. That's elite shutdown corner numbers, so Worthy earning his catches is going to be a legitimate battle. Here's where it gets really interesting from a team grade perspective. The Jaguars ranked 10th overall in the NFL according to PFF's team grades. Their offense ranks 18th, defense ranks 4th, and special teams ranks 26th. A huge part of that 4th ranked defense is the turnovers this defense has produced through the first 4 weeks, which has been absolutely phenomenal. But you have to wonder if that trend is sustainable for the rest of the year, because those things historically just aren't sustainable at that rate. The Chiefs, by comparison, are ranked as the 13th team in the NFL, with an overall score putting them 3 spots lower than the Jaguars. The offense is tied for 14th, which is actually 4 spots higher than Jacksonville's